Hi there, I'm Marta from Genius Gecko. Let's be honest, how many of you feel like your roadmap is a slow motion car crash? You've got everything planned to the minute. Everyone is 100% busy and yet nothing gets done on time and delivered. Today, we're doing a so-called PPM health check, but not the one like, okay, check, okay, it works, that's fine, all good, move on. This is a health check where we dive deeper and want to see permanent results. So we've identified 5 red flags that prove your resource management is actually killing your efficiency in the project, in the company. I'll show you how to spot those and how to fix them using Jira and BigPicture. Let's dive in. First up, the 80% rule. If your team is allocated 100%, you have usually zero innovation insurance, so probably not really everything is happening at the same time. One flu, one bug, and your whole timeline explodes, right? Currently, we're looking at one of my projects in BigPicture resources module, and look at these bars. Some of those, let's look at Muriel, right? She's 80% allocated, right? So I can see that her workload for this given day is 3.5 hour, and then the capacity is 4 hours, right? Why this one is yellow? Because I customized BigPicture so that it tells me that, okay, her total workload for this particular day is more than 80%. For me, between 80 and 100, this is already yellow. More than 100 is going to be red. Also, after clicking on this one, you can see that there's this explanation, right? So BigPicture tells me actually why this cell is colored yellow, right? So this workload to capacity ratio is 88%. So in my case, it tells me that this person is overutilized at this day for a healthy flow, right? So something probably is a bit unhealthy in here. I would like my team to keep this 80% workload each and every day. How to do it, how to change it in BigPicture? You have to go to the app settings, then box types. In my case, this is a hybrid project. And here in this place, under this resources tab, you have the coloring rules for individuals, projects, etc. So I've added one for my individuals, and you can see, as I mentioned before, that the yellow coloring is applied whenever the workload is between 80 to 100%. Let's go back to resources. And what can I do in this situation? I can, for example, extend the task, right? So maybe start it earlier or finish it later on. It will influence the timeline, right? Of course, but also the workload. This is not a good idea in this place, right? So let me move back to the original plan and I will get back to it, right? So remember this case, we will discuss it later on. Number 2, the ghost work. All those quick questions, do you have a minute? Do you have a second on Slack? They eat your time in BigPicture and in real life as well, right? It doesn't matter if it's Slack, Teams, anything like that. We should track those unplanned elements, right? So we don't want this work to stay invisible. How to fix it, how to reflect it in BigPicture. Let's move to our Gantt module. Here you can see my epics dedicated to this project, and the last one is actually operational. So I have another buffer task, let's say in my case epic, with some subtasks where I'm allowing my team members to log time against those, right? So whenever something like that is happening, and it can take more minutes, right? Sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's like 40 minutes, right? Because it actually turned out that this quick question wasn't that quick. So how to deal with that? Have something to log this time against, like in this case, a subtask within the project. Third point, the context switching test. Is one person assigned to more than 3 active projects? If yes, then their brain is probably melting. What to do about it? We are currently on the main level overview module. Let's go to the resources module. Here is a perfect place to check what is happening when it comes to your individuals assigned to projects. We would use the grouping feature, and we would like to group this view by individuals and then projects so that we can see how many projects a given person is assigned to. Let's look for myself somewhere around here, right? My name is Marta again. So what is actually happening in here? I have many projects assigned to myself within this given time frame. Not a good situation, right? So remember, check this grouping, check how many projects a person is assigned to, and you can see one person's allocation across all projects. And if you see more than 3 projects assigned to a person within a given week, month, year, anything like that, at the same time, this is your warning. You should probably do something about it, right? I know we are losing some percentage of a productivity related to a given person to simply switching tasks. So this element, this action of switching tasks, switching projects comes with a price. Number 4, estimation reality. Are you planning in story points alone? Points are great. For example, here in the board module, you can see how many story points is the allocated work for the PI and what's the capacity allocation, right? Whether there's a warning, etc. Those are great for program increments, sprints, teams. But capacity is built on hours. If we would go to one of my projects that we just discussed, and let's look at Muriel one more time. Her workload capacity is expressed in hours, right? So in time value. What you can do, you can change the effort mode. So you can also switch not only between original and remaining estimate, but also story points. What is happening? You can see that the values are different now, right? So we can see story points. How is that possible? In this case, we have a so-called bridge between the agile world and the real world capacity, so story points and hours, minutes. In BigPicture, you can set the ratio that gives you a realistic view of whether that one story point task actually fits into this window, right? Don't guess, calibrate. How to do it? You have to go to this particular box configuration. So that's the last one on the list. And then to resources and story points. This place, you have this so-called story point conversion ratio. And you are estimating this one for this particular box. So you can have different one for different boxes. In this case, I have one story point, meaning one day. I can override it, the predefined one, right? So if I would switch this toggle, I can change it, right? So for example, to 2 days, anything that I need, and then save it. And finally, number 5, the firefighting ratio. If you spend half your day rescheduling because of delays, different decisions, some conflicts, you're a firefighter actually, not a manager. So remember the part that I promised to get back to? That's the one. How to have a backup plan that won't ruin the existing one. If you don't want to mess up with your life plan, you can do something. So anytime your developer, in my case Muriel, gets sick, I can test my plan before actually turning this one to live. So what you can do about it? I mentioned that you can extend the task, right? But scenarios, that's a perfect place. That's a perfect idea to test those plans that we are not sure if those are going to work. Let's create a new one. So let's call it test scenario. Let's change color, hit create. And then we are operating in a scenario mode. I can drag and drop this task. I can extend it. I can assign it even to other person, other developer, see what's happening, right? See whether this is going to make sense to actually add something more to another person. In this case, not really, right? Paulina is not actually available to take anything else on her plate. That's okay. It didn't come out as planned, so let's move to my live scenario. You can see that those changes are not reflected in the live scenario unless I tell the tool that, okay, that makes sense. I want to merge those changes to live. Okay, so another great idea to test your. So we covered 5 points. How did your health check go? If you're seeing red everywhere or you're not sure still how to deal with your plans, don't worry. That's why we are here. And at Genius Gecko, we don't just install tools, we make sure they work for you. And we build systems that actually do the work for you and your people. And if you want to see the full version of how we set a big picture, contact us. We're happy to work together. We also have a big picture training online and a free version on top of that. So if you want to test us, if you want to see how this can go, then feel free to apply to have an access to it. And if you want us to look at your specific Jira or big picture setup, we're also happy to help. So contact us, let's chat, and see you in the next one. Thank you.